YouTube, what's going on? It's your boy Buddha back in the building for another Last Cloudia unit showcase video. We have the greatest warrior in all of Granzelia here with us today, Adel, who we absolutely luck-sacked. If you haven't seen that summon live stream, please feel free to go check it out for one of the most epic gamer moments on this channel entirely. But now that we have him on our account, you can see the stats. We gotta give him the proper respect when we do these 5-star character showcases and unlock the man's ward. We've got a nice 201 souls to get special damage cap plus 100. And with that, we're ready to dive into the unit summary, talk about this man's kit, get into some in-battle showcases, and give you my final thoughts on this guy. So starting off with the 110 stats, 120 board, 4th Awaken unlocked. He is a soldier type. Can't skip over that. Very, very standard nowadays, but the stat spread is looking very, very nice for base stats. Having over 1400 STR is pretty significant when you start talking about scaling and how this guy achieves his damage so easily. Looking at the resistances, 15 to fire, 20 weak to ice, 20 resistant to earth, neutral to thunder, 15 resistant to light, and 10 weak to dark. Looking at ailment resistances, he's weak to poison, neutral to blind, neutral to silence, but then resistant to curse, stun, and nil to illness, which are incredible resistances to have for the type of unit, right? Physical DPS that he is. We've got 94 SC to play with in his build today. Moving on to the abilities, his S1 Trust Edge instantly closed the gap for a medium area fire combo attack. Holy Enchant set, change attribute from fire to light. So as we know, Adel has this gimmick that we're going to see where with a certain skill that is set called Holy Enchant, you can switch him from the fire element to the light element pre-battle. S2 is Grand Ride, frontal medium area fire combo attack that launches enemies into the air. Brave Strike is S3, wide area fire combo attack, and his special Ether Driver, powerful wide area fire combo attack. Pretty much all standard DPS skills, nothing unique in any of his S1 through S3. The uniqueness of the special, though, is that they returned a wide area effect. Apparently, Murrin has this as well. That just totally went over my head, but something we don't see often anymore, so just an interesting detail to note. Doesn't quite guarantee you're going to hit all enemies, but if enemies are grouped together, when you target a specific one, you're going to hit for an AoE attack with his special, which makes it ultimately more useful than it being just single target, which is pretty cool. Looking at the traits, he has his trait 1 ultimate power. When Holy Enchant is not set, equipped with only one weapon, fire damage plus 45% and damage cap plus 25,000. You also resist flinch from fire and earth physical and magic attacks. When you have Holy Enchant set and equipped with only one weapon, you get the same thing but for light damage as well as resisting flinch from light and dark physical and magic attacks. Brave Soul, his trait 2, continuous Grand Brave effect, which is a plus 35% to STR, so don't get confused and give this man Brave skills because they do not stack. Boss Wave STR plus another 20% more. When special activates, add 15% of living allies' total stat spread to units STR and deal damage. Now that is just relevant to when you're launching your special. He doesn't then carry that stat boost over as far as I'm aware. Boost special damage cap based on number of living allies, max 45,000, which is quite a considerable amount to increase. This man gets some crazy high special caps, but it comes at the cost of his special being only like 26 hits, so it kind of evens out. Still a very, very hard-hitting, useful nuking special. Looking at the innate unlockable skills, he comes with a Charisma, which you can cast, all allies, STR defense, int, and MND plus 10%, and damage cap to boss monsters plus 2,000. Very nice, as many have pointed out, this damage cap raise is all damage, right? So you can take advantage of it no matter what type of damage you are dealing, and just 10% to all your stats is a nice bonus on top of that. Passives, he's got attack up max, fighting spirit, 4 fighting spirit max, so great for the stat spread he wants to utilize. Heroism up 3 as well, love that. Critical up 3, the Nice SC save to have for your crit ups. Advanced Aim Vitals will take Divinity Buster. This is very nice because he is one of the few units where his kit really supports the amount of anti-damage you're getting in this skill. His physical attacks deal great damage. His special deals great damage. Counter, not so much. However, just having your physical and special attacks deal that extra damage that he can utilize well is very cool when you're attacking gods, dragons, spirits, or undead. He also has Divinity Shield, so some extra bulk against those enemies' typings, minus 20%, which is quite significant. Special boost to round out that amount of anti-damage, so now it's a plus 100% increase for anti-type damage against those enemies. Auto High Protection, this is minus 35% of physical damage reduction. So I mean, just from Divinity Shield and Auto High Protection alone, you're taking minus 55% physical damage from those typings, which is quite nutty. Auto Haste is fine to have, especially when you don't have many SCT recovery skills. Fury 2, not my favorite, but we'll take it. Awaken 2, though, they did just introduce this, and glad to see it back on. Actually, really funny, because I think this is on Shift Nero, who Adel is very comparable to, who also now has this skill right after him. So pretty funny. Holy Enchant, this is that skill you have to turn on or off depending on which element you want to attack with, right? If this skill is turned on and you have him built for fire damage, you're going to be very confused when his numbers do not reflect what they should. Flames of Justice, an incredible, incredible skill. Fire and light damage plus 30% and damage cap plus 10,000. Recurring theme in this guy's kit is that all of his damage boosts are the majority all damage types, which is quite crazy. We've never really seen that on many kits, so it's one of the core reasons that he can actually deal out good physical damage and good special damage without really needing to build heavily for one or the other. Pose of Victory, when defeating an enemy, recover 10% HP. Piercing is nice. Physical attacks have a, I think, 25% chance to decrease enemy defenses by 50%. Those are the details you can find on Lakes Last Cloudia Goldmine. If you're not using that website, use the link below. Shockwave 2, which is just fine. If we're going to take him into Arena, we can stack up on top Shockwave for another 6% chance to break guard, and useful for PvE mobs that have a high guard chance. Favored Sword, he comes with equipped, and Doppelhander, just two monstrous SC saves, along with introducing Doppelhander Boost 3, another incredible damage modifier, and monstrous cap along with the other skills. Sword Boost and Sword Mega Boost, more damage cap, more damage modifiers. Armor High Boost will take the extra defense and damage mitigation from bosses, as well as HP plus 10% when you're equipping armor with the armor HP plus 2. Ultimate Boost 2, another great skill to have innately, giving his special that much easier, enabling to cap without much help. Quick Trigger for an extra, or for one random SCT stock at the beginning of the battle, which is awesome. Giant Killing 2, going to give you more damage and cap against bosses. Fair and Square, physical attack damage 20%, damage cap plus 2,000 to enemies without status ailments. This I don't mind at all, because when you're not taking advantage of status ailments, you get that extra damage. If you are inflicting status ailments, there are ways to essentially just recoup the damage that you're losing here. Parry, Sword equipped, chance for critical damage taken minus 40%. Another great way to reduce damage overall. If you don't know, PvE mobs can perform criticals, so this is going to help him in those areas. Unbreakable Spirit, while unit is alive and all other allies are incapacitated, when taking lethal damage, survive with 1 HP and get a 7-second nullify damage taken buff, and that durability is max HP times 3 once per wave. So again, just as I kind of predicted, I haven't really seen or found a place where this is truly useful. It's more just a really nice skill that sounds great on paper, and I think it will help players that don't have well-built accounts or teams for those tricky boss fights when they're taking it on for the first time. However, outside of that, for end game, for later game, you're not really seeing this. You're not seeing much use of this because there's too many conditions to fulfill, which kind of makes it a bummer in my mind, but maybe we'll find places where this is useful. But that's going to do it for his unlockable skills. I mean, when we're talking about what this guy has innately, damage on damage on damage on damage, with some very nice damage mitigation to take advantage of if you need to go a little extra step in reducing enemy damage. But a very, very nice kit for what this guy wants to be, right? With these single wielders that we have in the game, It's very nice that he has these damage boosts to multiple areas of his damage where he can pump out a ton, physical and special specifically. It's very funny, the meme builds that you can make. Tweak showed off in our live stream when this guy dropped. You could deal crazy amounts of stackable magic damage as well as a incredibly hard hitting UR arc skill damage pump out, but those are more for the uber end game, has everything in the game to take advantage of that and make it a fun experience. For the majority of players, this is a physical DPS that can also pump out a ton of special damage, and because he's single wield, he comes with that extra layer of bulk that we expect when we can use things like armor. We're not dual wielding, so we're not sacrificing that defensive side as much. He definitely wants some help in the SCT and sustain department overall, I would say, right? Just having auto haste and quick trigger, you'd want more ways to acquire those SCT or those skill stocks, as well as just recovery, honestly. He doesn't have Proud Force. The only thing he has to sustain his life is Awaken 2, Pose of Victory, which on kill type things are not the best, especially when you're talking HP recovery, and of course Unbreakable Spirit, which as we talked about, just not super practical. So he definitely wants some help in HP. If we're going to be utilizing MP with things like Sharp Eyes to get that extra skill damage boost, we'll want some way to recover MP as well. So I would say where this guy lacks heavily is in the sustain department, but in terms of pumping out damage, the dude is stacked. You almost need little to no investment in that area. So what we're going to do in building this guy in this showcase, I'm going to take a more budget or quote-unquote free-to-play approach, because I know Tweaks is making his showcase where I'm sure he'll bust out all the stops. I'm going to use things that don't come on limited collab arcs. I'm going to try and stick with SSRs or lower ranks that are in the permanent pool, things that any player can acquire over time with a little bit of luck and patience, just to show off how incredible this guy can be even if you're not a paid player. So I'll get to building this guy here, take him into some battles that we typically showcase with our units, and make our final judgments of Adel at the end of the video. Taking Adel into Chapter 6-9, Encroaching Dead on Hard mode. You can see the dual screen because I really wanted to showcase the difference between his fire and light status and taking advantage of each one specifically. On the left, you're going to see him with a Holy Enchant set off, and on the right, he has Holy Enchant set, so he's attacking with light as opposed to fire. So you can see these first waves, there's not going to be much difference. I think the enemies are majority weak to light, so we're going to pierce through defenses a lot faster on the right side. You'll notice it a bit, especially against those high defense enemies like the golems and the turtles. But for the most part, it's really no struggle at all, especially with his damage potential. It's really going to be on this final wave that we get to that you're going to see the difference in taking advantage of whichever element he is stronger against, depending on that stage. So because these enemies are weak to light and have this buff that they get for all the other elements, you see in that left screen, we're tearing through the ones that don't get the buff. But then we get walled by the boss mob, who on the right, we literally just take out immediately, along with having all of that essentially super armor because those enemies attack with the dark element. You see we're already done on the right side, but on the left we literally can't do anything because those resistances are so high, and I showcased that if we were, attacking with the light element, we'd be fine. So we're getting flinched. It's just annoying. Those buffs that you see under the health bar of the boss are temporary. There they go, starting to blink. I think it's a 40-second buff that it gets, so if you don't have someone who with Trishula or that's light element, you gotta wait until it's ready to go. So once it disappears, you can attack with the fire version of Adel, but you can see we're getting flinched, very annoying. However, we're able to get the job done. It's just that so much time was wasted. So a great example of fire versus light, when to use it in situations that you can take advantage of it. The next stage we're taking on, I'm very excited to showcase an Icy Guardian build, right? Monstrous DPS in Pronouncement of the End, the 4 Lords of Ruin stage that everyone's having trouble with. If I'm making you nauseous on the screen right now, I do apologize. I am going with free-to-play strategies here, so what we're doing is keeping these enemies grouped up and stunned with Tenkili Lightning Gauge spam, and then recharging his SCT, Adel's SCT, with Healing Wind Sarah. Now, once we get specials charged up, I activate Tenkili's, and I see that they're on the ground. We get to spamming skills. They're grouped up. I'm just allowed to spam a ton of damage, but once they get out of that, I see that, we're very prone to dying, even in this situation. So I activate the special, but remember, they're all grouped up. So due to it being a wide area, we're able to just deal the damage, get the job done, monstrous amounts. And don't forget that if we brought a support character, that special would be dealing 15,000 extra damage on top. So able to get the easy, no death clear with that strategy. Hope some of you guys can take advantage of that, because I know it's a stage many people struggle with. And then finally, we're going to take him into Arena. And this first battle, you're going to see the typical performance of Adel in auto, right? I do like to see how units perform in auto in Arena, because that can enable you to truly grind Arena without really needing to focus. However, what you're going to see here, turning on auto and Adel immediately getting clapped. He's going to revive with that shortened revive time in Arena, run back into battle, and immediately get clapped again. You can see our livestock draining down the drain. It's just horrible going down the gutter. And Adel's gonna respawn again. Get into the fray, Adel. Go! And immediately gets wiped, right? Just no help at all in auto. He suffers the same fate as many close range physical DPS in Arena. If they don't have some significant super armor and defense like Shift Roland, they get absolutely obliterated as soon as they enter the fray. Really, no matter what you do. Maybe if you build him as a tank, it could help, but alas, we are not able to make use of him here. However, this next fight, we're going to be taking him into manual play, which is where I think people with Adel can truly feel his power. Now, this Arena build is set up for a very specific team comp you want to fight. Mainly enemies that have a lot of sorcerers and healers on their team, so that you can essentially warp over to the sorcerers or the healers with Adel and his S1. We specifically have Shift Gorm, our tank, in the corner, which are occupying, in theory, any other damage dealers that the enemy has. Meanwhile, Adel, you can just sit in a corner safely and wait for the sorcerers to respawn, go after them, because your tank, theoretically, should not have any trouble surviving the hits of the enemy's team in auto. So you can see we're just bouncing back and forth between Tyria and Sarah, making for very, very easy team wipes. And then I try to get cheeky and kill Shift Roland at the end there, but he gets juggled in the air, so all of our attacks miss. But it doesn't end up mattering. We get the final kill. Very easy Arena clears, especially in that upper super league ranks. And the only way I'd say to use Adel manual, do not try him in auto. If you find a way to build him in auto, let me know. I'd love to hear it. It is safe to say that Adel is a very, very special unit. You can't deny when a new character is introduced that just kind of raises the bar in terms of that damage output, especially with how Adel's feel is, right? His S1 being super spammable, S2 and S3 working pretty cohesively when you're working on those combos, and then just a nice big fat damage on that special. He's just got damage all around. It definitely usurps a lot of what we have seen in the past, I'd say 6 months, even with all the current power creep. And he's definitely set the bar at a new standard in terms of a pure DPS unit. While he doesn't introduce anything extremely unique, I would say, it's just his presence, it's just his power that shines above so much of the roster that you can't help but appreciate the kind of unit that he is. As Tweaks described it in the Power Creep podcast, there's something about these units that allow us to have these power trips in Last Cloudia that truly feel special, while enabling and having your arcs, having things that age over time, is ultimately the smarter and more beneficial thing to an account when you're able to use those things to experience a pure DPS monster. That's where this game, I think, gets truly fun, and why Adel is hogging so much of the spotlight. A very appropriate anniversary character for Last Cloudia to drop. I'm very happy I was able to luck my way into him because I did not have the crystals ready to go. So Adel steamrolling his way into Last Cloudia, and I must say, he definitely lives up to the hype that the story has given him. Let me know in the comments what you think. Anything that you do with Adel that I didn't showcase in this video. I always like to see what you guys can come up with. Share thoughts in the comments below and just discuss these new units that drop, some awesome strategies, and how much fun you're having with them, or how salty you are that you don't have them. Want to see all the copium in the comments for people who say, oh, I don't want another damage dealer. He's just another damage dealer. Sounds like someone who doesn't have Adel. But without any more shots being fired, I do want to make a couple announcements. I am going to be doing a Maze of Tartarus live stream over on Twitch for the final day of our HelloFresh sponsorship. So make sure to check me out over there if you're interested. This is the last couple days that you can get that 65% off your first box. Makes it extremely cheap to feed yourself for the next week. My promo code and the link is all in the description below. I'm also excited to announce that I'm going to be starting a bit of an MMO splurge. A buddy of mine that I grew up playing video games with hit me up randomly and was like, yo, I don't know what happened, but all of a sudden I've been playing World of Warcraft again, and I'm having an incredible time. I put out a poll most of you saw of which MMO you'd like to see me try, so him and I are going to be embarking on the journey of Final Fantasy XIV Online. Those live streams are going to be posted on Twitch. I'm going to be doing them over on Twitch, just MMO grinding. If you're into that, would love to see you in the comments. And then I think I'm going to take those streams, make highlight videos, and either put them on YouTube. I'm thinking for Buddha fam exclusives. So if you want to support your boy and get some extra content that's not Last Cloudia, make sure to hit that join button below. $2 a month. Keep me off the streets. I love you all so freaking much. But that's all I got for you this time, guys. Like, subscribe, turn on all bell notifications if you're new. If this video helped you out with knowing what skills to put on your Adel equips, arcs, all that good stuff. And with all that being said, y'all know what we say. Work hard, play hard. See you in the next video.